От нашей роты никого не осталось в живых.
No one was left alive from our company. Everyone died.
Здесь было 3 человек.
A single Russian brigade has lost more than 12,000 men, more than 5 times its authorized strength. Its soldiers say they are subjected to violence, abuse, torture, and robbery by their own commanders, who throw them into bloody attacks where thousands die. The 15th Separate Guards Motor Rifle Brigade is based in the Samara region, but recruits from across Russia. Personnel from at least 77 regions have been listed as missing or dead, with the largest number being from the Volga Federal District and the Astrakhan region. At least 12,689 soldiers from the 15th Brigade have been listed as missing or killed in social media posts. At least 7,436 were killed, and another 5,253 are reported to be missing. This contrasts with a normal peacetime establishment of around 2,000 personnel. Researchers report that of the 12,689 dead and missing, 89% are privates and sergeants. 6,860 of the 7,436 killed, 4,432 of the 4,432 missing, 5,253 missing. Less than 1% are officers, comprising 92 killed and 47 missing. Most of these are likely junior officers. The 15th Brigade has been involved in many of the bloodiest battles of the last 2 years, including at Avdiivka and in the Pokrovsk area. Its mentions on social media peaked in August 2024 during a Russian offensive against Pokrovsk. Sources highlight 3 particularly bloody episodes: October 2023, Avdiivka and Novobakhmutivka, at least 2,128 killed. October 2024, Mikhailivka. At least 152 people died in one day. Late 2024, early 2025. Novotroitske. At least 6,791 killed, 1,245 missing. A soldier called Vladimir Zaitsev spoke about the brigade's losses in a May 2024 video. "No one from our company survived. Everyone died. My first day, February 29th, I arrived here. We immediately went to the front line where I spent 3 days. I got fucked up by a blast wave from a mortar. I also got a concussion. And the boys were all lost. There is no one alive. If I'm sent to the front line, then my chances are 50-50 for survival, because we are sent simply for meat. No one returns alive, no one is left. Those who are in the unit are temporarily alive, and the rest are among the 200s, dead. Someone is running away to the 500s, deserting. I would run away myself, but I can't, because they will zero me, that is, they will shoot me." According to the independent Russian news outlet Verstka, the brigade is mentioned in social media more often than any other Russian unit. Researchers found more than 2,000 posts from relatives, appealing to find the missing and complaining about various abuses. Relatives of the missing have published several petitions appealing to Vladimir Putin to investigate the unknown disappearance of their men, complaining that the missing were not being searched for and were listed illegally as deserters. They say that torture is routine. Videos from the brigade corroborate this. In this one, officers abuse a soldier whose face and body have been painted, cigarette butts are put out on his skin, and hair is torn from his chest. It appears he is accused of theft. One of the officers says, "I'm the only thief." Another video shows soldiers being buried up to his neck in a so-called tight pit. According to relatives, the brigade command secretly buries those who have been executed or tortured to death and declares them to be missing in action or deserters. Being declared a deserter means that their families do not receive compensation payments for their deaths. In addition, brigade members reportedly loot personal property such as phones, jewelry, money, and bank cards from the dead, which complicates their identification. According to a relative, one of the brigade's officers takes everything from the dead there, resells everything. He walks around covered in gold and accordingly shares it with the commanders. The officers are said to demand bribes not to send men into assaults. Another soldier says that the brigade's officers demand bribes to allow soldiers to go on leave or get injury certificates and threaten the men with violence if they report their corruption. He says that one of the soldiers was so fed up that he shot an officer and fled. My brother and his platoon interfered with this commander, his subordinates, that is, well, those at headquarters, making money on all sorts of certificates, on all sorts of vacations, injuries. That's why they were warned. If you stick your nose where it doesn't belong, it will be bad. They sent my brother's platoon to catch the fugitive. They caught him. So they brought him to headquarters, handed him over to headquarters. At headquarters, I don't know whether the officers were drunk or not. I can't confirm that. This guy was beaten to death. To cover up the murder, the officers pinned the killing on his brother, the platoon commander. They forced his men to give false testimony implicating him. The man is now sitting in a pre-trial detention center for something he didn't do, and those who are involved in corruption and all sorts of schemes continue to make money. In an April 2025 video appeal for help, soldiers from the brigade say that on the third floor of the headquarters, beatings are taking place. We hear cries for help, wailing cries. But all this remains within these walls. We are subjected to violence, torture, humiliation, insults. They don't let us appeal. They don't let us pass the military medical commission. They just immediately put us on board and send us behind the tape to the front line, where we won't even be able to say anything. And even if we do say anything, there won't be any point. Wounded 15th Brigade soldiers say that they are being sent straight back into battle, many of them on crutches. In a June 2024 video addressed to Vladimir Putin, wounded soldiers with broken limbs and shrapnel injuries say they are being denied treatment. Well, Military Unit 90,600 does not allow treatment to be done and sends us on a combat mission. I ask you to take action and help us, since this is a one-way ticket, because with our health, we will not even be able to take up arms. The brigade is still suffering heavy losses. In only the first 4 months of 2025, according to Verstka, there were more than 1,700 burials of members of the 15th Brigade, equivalent to 85% of its entire authorized personnel. The 15th Brigade's huge and continuing losses very likely reflect the brutal meat assault tactics used by its commanders. From being the Russian Army's only specialized peacekeeping unit before the war, it's now known as one of the Army's most meaty units. A senior Russian official on June 19th inadvertently confirmed the staggering troop losses incurred by Moscow's forces during its full-scale invasion of Ukraine. In an interview with CNN, Russian ambassador to the UK, Andrei Keelan, was asked about Moscow's maximalist intentions in Ukraine and its ability to recruit enough soldiers to fulfill them. Despite ongoing US-led peace efforts, Russia continues to demand Ukraine withdraws from the 4 partially occupied regions, Donetsk, Luhansk, Kherson, and Zaporizhzhia, as a precondition for negotiations. Meanwhile, according to figures from Kyiv, Russia has suffered more than 1 million dead, wounded, and missing soldiers since the start of its full-scale invasion. Keelan dismissed the 1 million casualties figure, but did confirm that about 600,000 Russian soldiers were fighting in Ukraine, a number which tallies with Ukrainian estimates from January. The number is actually lower than the 700,000 Russian President Vladimir Putin claimed in June 2024, and the 617,000 he claimed in December 2023. Keelan was then asked about Russian army recruitment. I'm not a specialist in this area, but as I understand it, we have 50 to 60,000 a month. Those volunteers who are coming, recruiting, posting, and they would like to get engaged in this thing, in Ukraine, he replied. He did not explain why the size of the Russian army fighting in Ukraine has gone down, despite what would amount to around 250,000 extra troops being recruited and sent to the front since the beginning of the year. According to figures from Ukraine's general staff, Russia has lost 217,440 troops since January 1, 2025. The discrepancy tallies with Western analysis of Russia's staggering losses. They lose somewhere in the ballpark of 35,000 to 45,000 people per month, and perhaps they recruit a little bit north of that number. George Barros, Russia team lead at the Institute for the Study of War, told the Kyiv Independent earlier this month, "Given that Russia is having to pay people to sign up, the losses have potentially huge ramifications for the country's economy." According to an analysis by economist Janis Klug, Russia's daily bill just for sign-up bonuses is $24 million. The ballooning bills come at a time when Russia's economy is already under huge strain from Western sanctions and falling oil and gas revenues. The implications for Russia are grave, energy security analyst Wojciech Jakubik wrote in an op-ed for the Kyiv Independent this week. According to Barros, making any predictions about whether or not the Russian economy is going to collapse is supremely difficult to do. But the signs for the Kremlin don't bode well. If you look at the current Russian economic indicators, for example, their inflation rate, their overnight lending interest rates, Russian monetary constraints, government spending is out of control. It's a very loose fiscal policy, and so the economy is at risk of overheating, he said. I don't know to what extent the economy can continue to last. Kalin also said Ukraine must accept Moscow's terms for ending the war or face further military advances and eventual surrender.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comments section. The membership link is in the description.
Every day. We had a guy last week at 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.